Welcome to CPG Vibes. No script, just chat. We talk all things food and beverage and so much more. Feel our vibe and search for CPG Vibes on Apple Podcast or Spotify, and make sure to give us a 5-star review. If you'd like to sponsor our show with your product or service, or be a guest, email us at cpgvibes100@gmail.com. Now your hosts, me, Alex Baer with Genius Juice, and Wade Yenny. All right, welcome to episode 71 of CPG Vibes. I'm looking more like Wade these days with my nice little streamlined look on top of my head here. How you doing, buddy?
When we were doing the two minutes we spend before we jump on, I saw that. I thought you were doing Walter White because just the positioning of your head and the way the headphones are, it's back. It's hiding what hair you do have. So very, very Breaking Bad-esque today, Alex.
Thank you.
But looking sharp nonetheless.
Thank you. A lot less to worry about. That's really at this, when you start getting and pushing 40, it's like, I just don't want to worry about it anymore. So whatever I can do to not think about it, not deal with it, not have to dry my hair after a shower, not have to fix it after waking up. One less thing to worry about.
All problems I can't relate to.
Yeah. Nor should you.
Right.
Like you said, you won before you lost, right?
Exactly.
Cool. All right. Well, we have some two special guests on this week. We're really excited, and this is going to be a treat because this is not your normal guest appearance. They're pulling out all the stops. They're doing something really, really special for us, which fits well within their theme of who they are and their brand. So we're really excited to bring them on in just a moment. So first off, 5 stars. What did I say? 5 stars.
5 stars, 5 stars. That's 5 times.
Right? Yeah, there you go. It's like Candyman. You say it 3 times. Anyway, we don't want to curse it, but or Beetlejuice, right? So make sure to give us 5 stars on Apple Podcast. It's really freaking easy to do. I mean, like, we're ready to go just to the next level with this. We're top 10 in New Zealand. We're top 10 in Canada. We're top 10 in Ireland, Chile. We got to get in the US top 10 here for business entrepreneurship podcast. So make sure to give us 5 stars. If you'd like to sponsor our show, I mean, we have sponsors booked out for at least a couple months. I think almost 3 months. Email cpgvibes100@gmail.com. There's an introductory cost of $350. I'm just getting a text here for sponsorship. I made that up, but that was pretty smooth, right? So that was actually a text from my bookie. He's like, are you betting on the game or not? You tell me now. Just kidding. So $350 introductory price. If you'd like to be a sponsor on our show, goes out to hundreds of listeners and watchers here live. And then obviously many more in the thousands on Apple Podcast. And also, what's the other one on the side? Spotify, all that other stuff. Yeah. We're sponsored by Apple here, right? We're going to be wearing the Apple. Have you seen those new
I have, and that would take 10 sponsorships, Alex, or 20 since we're splitting it in half. So we're a ways away from doing that, but I did see it.
Yeah, if you want to see us wear Apple glasses or Apple headgear, VR headgear, we just need 10 to 15 more sponsors. We'll be wearing it. We'll be in your freaking living room by the next episode.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, it's very terrible. We might get the cops called on us.
Right.
And if you want to be a guest, same thing, cpgvibes100@gmail.com. And we're booked out pretty heavy, but we'll see if we can fit you in. I got to show this because, Wade, I haven't even briefed you on this yet before we bring our guests on, that we have this new item that has been brought to you by my buddy, Tyler Ball at Mars Printing and Packaging. That's Mars with 2 R's. And he's not a sponsor yet. He's going to be in a future episode, but I got to mention what he's printed up for us. Limited edition golden boxes, CPG Vibes boxes, embossed 3D. It feels like really premium. You could put your liquor in here. You could put your Genius Juice in here. You could put your Dano seasonings in here. Limited edition. These are going to be signed by me and Wade. Wade, I haven't even told you about this.
You texted me. I was tied up yesterday, but I did see the little video. It's pretty sweet. I like it.
So cool box logo on all basically two sides. You got the Mars logo. This is printing and packaging. They do premium packaging. So it's the golden box signed by me and Wade. We're going to figure out what we do with these puppies, but we're going to be releasing about 20 of them, limited edition, and we'll figure out how to get that out to you guys. Maybe you pay for it, maybe you win it. We'll figure it out. Just wanted to preview that. All right. So without further ado, these guys have been waiting. I think they're already halfway through their extravaganza, which I don't want to give a clue on what they're doing, but they're halfway through what they're doing. So let's get them on. Let's put on some music here. It's really good. All right, so we have Tyler Watson and Dano himself with Dano's Seasonings. How you gentlemen doing?
What's up, fellas?
Doing Dan good, and I think it was supposed to be extravaganza that we've got going on over here.
I like it. I like it. We should have a little counter. We should have a little counter in one of the corners for Dan puns today, but we're not that sophisticated. We're not that sophisticated.
Not yet. We need sponsorships to have those kind of sound effects. Yeah, we got to get the purchasing rights to those. So you guys, for those that are listening later and they don't see the video, we got Dano himself, the founder, and we have Tyler, VP of Sales from Dano Seasonings. They are at a table that has been very well set up, meticulously set up with their seasonings. It looks like there's some food, there's a stove, there's a pan. What's I got to guess here. Are we going to be cooking something?
What are you gonna do?
Absolutely. I was gonna cook chicken tenders exactly the way we do, or the way that I did when I used to do all the flea markets and festivals. You know, basically how Dano's was founded. You know, that's how I did it. I went out and cooked chicken tenders and put the samples on a toothpick and told people about the product and educated them, and they got to try it. And that's why we are where we are today is from the sampling. And so I was going to cook the chicken tenders and show you exactly how I used to cook, how I used to still do, but I'm going to show you how I get the herb crust and how I use the seasoning generously. And yeah, that's what I was going to cook for you.
It's important to note, I mean, you boys have been to our shows, right? Our B2B shows and been to our Expo West booths and things like that. There's absolutely no difference between what we do today and what Dan did in the flea market 6 years ago. And I think that's what's important about it is like, we're not trying to be anybody else. We're trying to be ourselves and really carve out that space in the category. And, you know, the results speak for themselves. It's been a lot of fun doing what we're doing. So some background, like, again, Dano's doing his thing. He actually just finished up this amazing seafood boil outside. So I wish you guys were here because you would absolutely be blown away. It's Dan good, Dantastic. Dano might be the best boil you ever had. But yeah, so, you know, I think it was really cool. And one thing for viewers who maybe don't have TikTok or watch our content on Instagram, this is Dan's kitchen. So this is where you see a lot of our videos take place. I mean, like quite literally billions of eyes over the last several years have laid eyes on this kitchen right here, this background. This is the TikTok algorithm kitchen, if you will. If he's not here, our videos don't blow up. So just know going into this, we're going to blow this thing up.
Right. Love so it. I was going to say, Tyler, technically we did not introduce you, so we should do that. Tyler Watson, and your title is?
Yeah, I'm our VP of Sales over here at Dano's. So just been along for the ride for quite some time and been able to, you know, 5-6 years ago, you know, I was right next to Dan at a lot of barbecue festivals and flea markets and state fairs and doing exactly what he's doing right now and heckling the customers walking by just trying to get on a taste bud or two. So it's been one hell of a journey and very blessed to be a part of it. And happy, you know, we'll probably dive in a little bit more to that story and how Dan and I met later, but I'll let you guys preface this whole thing.
That's actually where I was headed. So I want to know a little bit about Dan's background. Obviously we know where you are, but and you mentioned flea markets, farmers markets, what have you. Rewind a little bit further back. How did you get to the farmers market? What gave you the inspiration for the seasoning? Talk a little bit about it.
Well, I was 33 years old and looking to start my own business. I was a bartender. You know, I'd been in sales jobs before, and then I ended up bartending for like 5 years. And the last couple of years, I was just always looking for something a business to start. I'm an idea guy. I got all kinds of crazy ideas, disposable toothbrushes, yogurt ideas, and all these crazy ideas, but they all took millions of dollars. And it wasn't until I was bartending one day. I used to make this chicken all the time. I would make up this recipe, this special seasoning that I made for like 15 years, and I would just use it on chicken. And so it was one day when I was bartending, and I brought in some of this chicken, and it was 5 o'clock on a Monday. There's one guy sitting at the bar, and I said, "Hey, you want some of this chicken?" He was like, "Yeah." And he took one bite, and he was like, "This is the best chicken I ever had. Why aren't you selling this?" And I was like, "Danos." Like, it was just this epiphany. It was the aha moment. And I was like, "That's what I'm going to do." So that was January 2015, and I didn't have a packaged product until it was August 2016. So it took me every bit of a year and a half to take this idea and turn it into an actual product. And then once I had my first product, I took it out there, got it into a couple stores. And after the first month, I was like, this is not ready for like big time. Because my vision was like, Danos is going to be a household name. I had this big vision. But then once I got this first product out there, I really saw what needed to change. So I had to make this big pivot. And it took me like 6-7 months to get my new packaging. And so when I did that, it was flash forward to July 1st, 2017 is when I got my new packaging that's very similar to what you see today. And that's when I went and did my first flea market. And this first flea market that I did, 10,000 people come through there. I was hoping to sell $1,000 and I sold like $3,700. So I was literally like, this is what I'm going to do. Like, I'm going to quit my job. I don't have to bartend anymore. I just need to find more flea markets and little festivals, anywhere where there's like 10,000 people, I can sell $5,000 worth of seasoning. So that's what I did for literally 3 years. I traveled the country. I just made my schedule. I found flea markets to go to and just kept robbing Peter to pay Paul. I always say I'm going to write a book called 50 Overdrafts Later, maybe 100. But so that's how it started. And then COVID hit. And it was kind of a blessing in disguise. I had to go to social media because I couldn't travel anymore. I made the right partnerships, brought in the right investors, and now you see where we are today.
Yeah, I know that what I like about the social media part, because I tend to really hate social media, and I'll tell you why, for different reasons. And this is a very weird show where it's like uncensored. A lot of it's just fucking annoying. Okay. Like, you get the same shit over and over again. You get someone dancing, which nothing against dancing. I like dancing, but there's dancing, get it? But there's too much of that going on. There's too much of the same things on social media. Someone holding a product and they're doing something funny. What I really like about what you've done is you've kind of disrupted it with like implementing your product, the spices, cooking something up. But what I love most about it's authentic to you as a person, because you went out there before ever going on social media, cooking at flea markets and different shows and things, because that's what you love to do. And that comes out in social media versus someone that's an influencer, right? And I say different influencer, where they're doing it for the money or they're getting paid to show a product. And you can really tell their heart is not really in it. You're all heart, man, when you're doing those videos.
Well, I appreciate it. And that you're absolutely 100% right. Because now I see all these social media influencers that used to just make food recipes. Well, now they have food products. They come out with their own hot sauce, or now they got their own seasoning. And, I kind of inspired all those people because they saw me I made it look easy, right? I'm like, oh, I've got this big business and we're blowing it up. Like I'm just this country dude that like had some seasoning and he's super successful. But what they really don't see is behind the scenes, the team that I have, the Tylers, the CEO, the CFO that I have, and just all the right people.
Exactly.
It takes the teamwork to make the dream work.
Exactly.
Yeah, the cool thing about dude, we see comments all the time. Sorry, we see comments all the time. People like that locally know Dan, and they still feel like it's local brand. They're like, oh man, I thought Dan was still selling out of the back of his truck. And it's like, I love hearing stuff like that because that just speaks to how authentic like he's coming across in his content, just like what you're talking about. And I mean, make no mistake, we definitely use a pretty large and extensive influencer network to get our branding out there, and that's certainly has definitely taken us next level. But I think probably more views, organic views, come from the content that Dan puts out than we have in our entire influencer network right now. So, you know, it really just speaks to the power of our brand and what Dan's been able to build and the connection he's been able to make with that audience.
Exactly.
And I wanted to dive into that a little bit because obviously, you know, the views, the view count is just off the charts. And how did you, the beginnings of the social aspect, you know, into the one that went, what was the, you know, the build up to the one that went viral that put you over the top, and obviously from there it's been off the races. But talk a little bit about that journey as far as the beginning and where you went.
Well, I'll tell you this. I had a TikTok account, I had Facebook, I had YouTube, Instagram. I had all those accounts. And I think my total following was like 20,000 followers, maybe, if you combined them all. And that was pre-COVID. Once COVID hit, the one that I was actually getting traction on was TikTok. And so I focused all my energy on TikTok because Facebook, yeah, I might get 1,000 views on a post. Well, TikTok, I was getting 10,000 and 20,000. And it took me probably 2 weeks before I really caught like my first viral video. And I remember it was a crab cake. And it was like, I was almost kind of discouraged. I wasn't going to make the video. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And I did it with one hand. Like, I'm filming with one hand and using my other hand to make these crab cakes. Well, all the comments, like 80% of them were like, that's not how you make a crab cake. What's Dano's? Dano's is trash. Where's the Old Bay? Everybody in Maryland's blocking you or whatever, you know. And so I remember going in there and I was using all my Dan puns. And I'm like, you don't know till you Dano. You don't know till you Dano. You don't know till you Dano. And so I would just reply, you don't know till you Dano, to all these people. Well, when I posted this video, like 2 weeks into COVID, this crab cake, it had like maybe 500,000 views. And I did like $1,000 in sales that day, which I was used to doing like $200 is what I needed to do to survive. It was like $200 a day in my mind. And so all these comments, well, then like flash forward a week later after everybody started to get their orders, well, then everybody started to come to bat for me. So all these negative comments that you would see, I would have people like working as ambassadors almost for me saying, you don't know till you Dano. So then I didn't have to do it anymore. Everybody was like, it's dang good. Like, it really is good. Like, I bought it. I got it last week. It really is good. So the cool thing is I guess I have that connection with people. Like, I own my Dan puns. I make it fun. The product I know is great. And so I just need people to try it. And then I create all these people that are fans of the product. So like now, Dano's Fanos. So, and we have a Facebook group with almost 100,000 members now.
Wow.
It's just, you know, stuff. So that's really cool.
It's amazing.
It just shows like the humble I mean, these are stories that are so amazing because it was humble beginnings, right? Of just cooking at farmers markets, cooking at home, sharing your passion, following your heart. And you were able to attract the right people to follow you. And like, it just boggles my mind. Like when I first discovered, I actually first really found out a lot about your brand at Fancy Food Show, where I ran into Tyler, you know, and he's like, you over there at, you know, he's like, you know, in his Louisville accent, which I can't do. He's like, you over there, Alex, get over here. We're going to do a video with you right now. And da-da-da-da-da. And I follow you on LinkedIn. And like the energy was insane. And like, so I did a video with Tyler and all that. And I was thinking to myself, this guy is like a first round draft pick, basically, Tyler. You know, I want to just commend you because you're just a wonderful, wonderful person in general, a great sales guy, a lot of energy. So Dano, you did a great job, and lucky obviously to have each other. But man, you guys make a great team. But I love how you're building that momentum on social media. So what, as far as retail, I want to get into like the retail side of it. So are you seeing people that are just going to the stores now and they recognize the brand? Like what's kind of the brand awareness? What has social media done for brand awareness and like retail? Are people just going in and buying it? How's it working?
It's absolutely insane. So like, and I'll take you back even like to my first Expo West, which was like, you know, two Wests ago. You know, walking in and being from Kentucky, never been in an industry event. I was just a couple months in. I mean, I called Dan after the first day. I mean, Dan's one of my best friends. I mean, this is not just for show. We're really good friends and we have a good time together. But I call him and I'm like, Dan, dude, everybody knows who we are. And we weren't in any retail. I think we were had barely cracked like 2% ACV in the market. And I'm like, dude, I had the Kroger buyer coming up saying, yum, yum, get you some. And had all these people coming up using the Dan puns and all this stuff. And so like, it was just absolutely insane as a sales guy coming into, I don't have CPG experience. I'm a retail guy. I've worked in retail stores, helped out with some franchise businesses and things like that. Had no idea what CPG, but I knew the first thing to do was to start friending people like you guys in the space. And that's why I was like, you guys were like celebs to me at those shows, right? Because like I didn't know the space and I knew you guys were, big in the LinkedIn community. But so how that translates to retail, I mean, watching Dan, we try to, from like marketing and sales aspect, one, I'll tell you, him and I are very competitive against each other. I'm like, hey, I just sold, this much product into retail. You got to sell it out of retail and into the consumer's hands now. And so we always have this fun back and forth about that. But you're absolutely right. I mean, as soon as we see a viral video crack, I mean, there's like this kind of lead up and there's a little bit of lag time to it, but you can absolutely see, a velocity increase in retail. So, I think, now social media has become such a conventional way of doing things and it's become really expensive too. So luckily we got in on the ground floor of that. But it truly, truly does drive, trial in retail. And so now, I think we've started to pivot, now that we've got such great distribution, we're in like damn near 74% of the market now in ACV. It's like,
really?
What do we do?
Wow.
Yeah, it was insane. I mean, that's been in a year and a half. There's the herb crust, by the way.
It's not
So
bird.
is this, and this is chicken, right? Is this chicken?
Chicken.
Just chicken tenders.
Tyler, I have to ask. Tyler, did you say Dan near or damn near? Which was that? I just for clarity.
You caught me. I did cuss, but it should have been damn near. Ding, ding, ding.
There should be a thing where there, instead of a swear jar, if you say a word that it's not Dan and it could be Dan, you get fined for that.
I wanted to follow up. Gavin had a question for you, Tyler, with regards to the influencer network, how it started, what worked, and where it is today. And then I also have a follow up to that.
Yeah. Let me be real quick on that. So I can tell you, one, we do it to this day, just as heavy, if not heavier than we ever have. So we still have we just launched our new product, Cheesening. I'm beating Dan to the punch there, but he, is really excited about this.
It's not seasoning.
It's cheesening.
Cheesening.
So it's a Parmesan, Italian herbs and spices, plus the Dano's proprietary flavor profile infused, really special. But anyway, what we do with influencers is, we want to tap into audiences that may not be watching us. We have brand, content pillars that we're trying to hit. And so we kind of find out about different, whether it's active lifestyle or diet centric folks and things like that. We try to find, we have a team in house of, our marketing teams consist of 25, 30 people probably. And, 4 or 5 of them are actually on influencer marketing solely. That's their job. And, they've got this big Rolodex. They're always watching new videos of emerging creators and kind of going through that. So, Gavin, it's just as strong as it was then as it ever has been. And, of course, we also have our in-house creator, Dan, who's, consistently filming. I mean, the dude's pumping out like 14, 15 recipes a week with the team here in the Dano's kitchen here at his house. No kidding. This is not like a studio or anything. This is his home. Yeah. So I think it's really special that we continue to do that. And furthermore, we've actually started working with other CPG brands. So, other CPG brands have kind of approached us at shows and said, listen, we'd be interested in possibly looking at, influencer campaigns and things like that. And so we've been able to kind of, make sure our team's a little bit nimble and flexible. And we learn a lot about maybe what that brand strategy is. It may not be our strategy, but it may be something we can utilize later on and tap into that new audience from a content pillar standpoint and start to learn how that demographic engages with certain products. And it could benefit Dano's in the long run. So that's kind of how we've leveraged our influencer network, not only in-house, but also to help other brands do really special stuff on social media.
I have a question after you, Wade.
All right. So my follow-up to that was, strategically, do you have just a blueprint? Okay, I'm gonna pump out, you mentioned 14, 15 recipes a week. Do you is it so many videos a day? Is it, you know, and I think, you know, there's no secret, TikTok is kind of where the bread's buttered, right? At least that's where the bulk of the audience is. So do you have like I've got to do this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? How does that playbook look?
Monday is usually my office day. I'll go to the office. If it's just a regular work week, like I'm not traveling anywhere, we have all 5 days. I'll usually go to the office on Monday, and then we'll shoot Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and maybe Friday. We usually have a goal to have minimum 10 videos. And if we do 14, then great. But usually it's a minimum of 10. So it's just Tuesday through Thursday is usually that's what we like to shoot on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then Friday, hopefully I get to play golf.
Yep. You just hit the.
I was going to say, there you go, Alex.
You just
There you
opened
go.
up an entire Pandora's box where the rest of this episode is about, you know, U.S. Open and golf and everything and all the courses you play. Anyway, I'm going to restrain myself from getting into that conversation. Yes, just the word golf alone sets a 30-minute diversion on the conversation. So, so I wanted to ask, because like you see this happen with founders where you originally start in just, you know, every day is like sales, and this and that and operations. And now, Dan, that your team has gotten a lot larger, you know, your sales have, you know, you've scaled your business, and now you're focusing more on the creative aspect of the brand, the marketing, the branding, the innovation. Have you really shifted heavily into doing videos and innovation and stepped away from the sales and operations side, and other people are handling that? Or are you still deeply involved day to day on that? And do you have bandwidth to focus on both?
I'm the owner founder. On our org chart, I'm up here to the side. Everybody else is on the chart, right? I'm over to the side. So basically, I let my team members, my CEO, when I made my partnership in 2020, which it was May 2020, COVID started in March. So I made a partnership in the first 2 months. I was taking off like a rocket, and here he was, had a marketing company for 20 years and was great at what he did and was ready to sink. He wanted to sink his teeth into something. So we basically went 50-50 partners, and we took the 16 employees that he had and basically turned them into Dano's employees. And we didn't really focus on all the marketing anymore. We basically, everything was focused on Dano's. And that's when we had to bring in some investors, and we were, you know, building these pitch decks and going after the Walmarts and the Krogers of the world. And we were number one in Louisville. We were number 1 and 2 in the city of Louisville. And that's how I think we got our big deals in Walmart and Kroger's, because our sales were through the roof in our hometown. And so they were like, and we were building this backbone, this foundation to be a national product. Like that was the goal ever since day one with me. And so when I made the partnership with Phil, it was basically like, look, I want you to run this business. Yes, I'm still involved in the major business decisions. But when it comes to the day-to-day operations, like I just go in on Monday and I kind of sit in on some meetings, marketing meetings, fulfillment meetings with Tyler. He might be on a call. I'll go sit in his office and just listen to him. So I'm really in the office on Mondays just to know what's going on in my business, but I'm not actually doing work, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I think the one thing I wanted to point out too, just really quick, Wade, is because we also it's kind of it's edutainment, right? This show, right, is educating and really giving great insights to entrepreneurs that are in the CPG business. The biggest challenge that I see that founders go through is they try to do too much and they think they can do everything, right? They're like, I'm going to have my hands in every part of that chicken tender, you know, like I'm going to be doing the marketing, I'm going to do the sales, I'm going to do the operations. And what's great is you've raised money, you have a team, but founders have this thing that we all have, right? Because I'm a founder too, right? That we think we know it all. And you were smart enough to like step aside early and be like, this is taking off. This could be a runaway freight train, which could be a good thing, or it could be a bad thing, right? If it goes off the tracks. So I'm going to step aside, get some people in that have done this before, you know, built a CPG brand, and I'm going to exhibit my strengths, which is the marketing side, charisma side, the innovation side, coming up with the flavors. So I love how you recognize that, 3 years ago as you were starting to scale, because if you didn't step aside, you wouldn't have had time to really focus on the marketing and the social media, and the brand would not be where it is today. So kudos, man, for recognizing that early.
There's two
Thank
things.
you.
No, man, what he's done is incredible, and obviously, like you said, put pride aside and let a team, continue your legacy. And I think that's exactly what we're doing for Dan, and in honor of his name, and like he says, he's still heavily involved with us. But two things: one is, from an investment standpoint, we're all local. I mean, everybody that is invested in Dano's is local to us here in Louisville. So I think that's important. I mean, when you buy a brand on a shelf, it's you sent me that TikTok the other day of that guy who's like, half the sauce aisle is owned by, the Blackstone groups and people, the big investment groups of the world. That's not us.
Mm-hmm.
You're buying from us when you buy Dano's off the shelf. And I think that's really important to hear. But two, you talked about, Dan mentioned early, momentum inside of the Kroger division stores that we got a chance with early on. And, what we did, I mean, I think this is important for anybody. And I tell everybody this that asks kind of how we started, our journey into the retail disruption was, we really went in with the mindset that, displays were going to sell products. We all know that. If we can get a little display space, that's where it's at. We found a distributor here locally who was able to give us autonomy on DSD products. So we had what we called flavor slangers all over the place. Anytime that we actually opened up a big account, 100 doors or whatever, we're sending a couple flavor slangers there. They're going to do demos. They're going to bring in product through the back door, front door, however they can with displays. And we're going to sit there and make sure that product sells. So it was almost like a lost leader because we weren't making money. We were pushing, momentum and velocity out of those stores by making sure that everybody got to smell. I wish you were here right now because you'd be able to smell. It smells like Thanksgiving. And
if we had those like VR glasses, we would be right in it with you,
Right. Yeah, but no, man, people got to experience, what Dan has created, and it truly is special. And I can tell you just from early days working with Dan when we didn't have the notoriety or anything that we have right now, he always believed we would be here and beyond. I mean, he's always had this vision. So again, I think myself and the rest of the team are just really, really excited to be along for the ride. There were a lot of people who called this guy crazy, and that his mantra of change the world one table at a time is a lofty goal when you've got, the big brands of the space, if you will, dominating the brand blocks and things like that. And you've got our two little bottles that have caused such a stir in the market share. So it's really been a cool journey to be a part of.
That's awesome. And I think so much of what you've talked about the last few minutes, just to me, speaks highly of what we talk about on the show over and over and over again about, I reference all the time, like, own your backyard, right? Which you do. And that ownership helped put you on the path to where you are today, right? I mean, you mentioned you got so big in your backyard that Walmart and Kroger pretty much didn't have a choice but to bring you in, right?
They came to you.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it was 100%. And beyond that too, they were like, listen, I mean, we all know that Amazon has broken into the grocery space in a major way and is stealing market share away. And I mean, they were seeing the kind of numbers we were putting up there. And then they saw the velocities. I mean, it was insane. I mean, for the seasoning aisle, you're lucky to get, 2 to 3 pieces per store per week, on a SKU. That's considered successful. We were pumping out like 15 to 19, of each of our SKUs, units per store per week. It was just so loud you couldn't ignore it. And I mean, that was the cool conversation to have. That was my first conversation I had with our buyer at Kroger at the time was, she was just amazed by what we were doing. And, she saw the velocities, then she saw the social, and it was like, it all made sense to her. And that was just a really cool, selling story that we were able to tell during that time.
Hey, so I want to do, we were talking about the brand, talking about Dano's, talking about the chicken tenders. I saw a post you did. I just went to your profile right before he came on the show, Tyler. And I see this picture of, it looks like you, and looks like your son, right? And your daughter, right? Your daughter. So there's a big story behind you that I want you to share. And I see under your name. It says from dishwasher to disruptor. Follow me for the underdog story. Can you tell us just what's your story?
Yeah, man. I mean, no education, 8th grade education. Had a kid early. Found out, my girlfriend was pregnant at 15, so had to kind of figure some stuff out, and so that equated to dropping out and trying to raise a kid, trying to win a custody battle over 9 years, and a lot of just dead end, jobs. So again, started as a dishwasher, couldn't make it as a sandwich artist at Panera Bread. I think the coolest part of that story is my now wife, Sharon. She was the shift lead at Panera Bread during that time, and just said, Tyler, I don't think this is for you. There's a shoe store in the mall. And she said, why don't you try something else? And so I got to selling shoes, and that's where I found that I just loved talking to people and being with people. And, it wasn't just selling like a Foot Locker type shoe. This was a sit and fit, like orthopedic style. So I got to learn, not only had I had all these diverse experiences early in my life, from truthfully just getting kicked out of schools and just totally bad path, went from a traditional program school all the way to metropolitan inner city schools with a house arrest bracelet around my ankle. So no holds barred here. You're going to hear it all, but this is the story. And so Dan, when we met, I mean, he was amazed by the background too, and was just amazed that I was able to talk the way that I can and kind of fluidly get through a conversation with somebody. And so that's, kind of fast forward, like we figured it out, and, got a lot of cool opportunities with a lot of great mentors and listened and, made lemonade out of lemons, I suppose. But, I think it's a tribute to Dan. I mean, and I think this is the biggest part of the story from a Danos aspect is, with Dan, I got with him early on and then, had to leave. It wasn't sustainable for my family at the time when we were early on trying to build this thing together. And we always joke about it. We talk, it's like I left him high and dry. And that's totally the truth. And so for him to come back 2.5 years later, not kidding, 2.5 years later, my phone rings, it's Dan. And I'm like so proud of him because like I've seen commercials locally, and that's another way we're on in the backyard, right? We're running commercials in our major trade areas and stuff, and just doing stuff you don't see other seasoning brands doing. And Dan and I, just it's been such a cool journey to be a part of. But he calls and says, "Hey, dude, like there's this like national opportunity available, and there's nobody else I'd rather see, get in front of our CEO, get in front of our leadership team that we have in place and talk to them about this." And so we all clicked. They saw how passionate I was about the brand. That's how Dan and I met, was my neighbor worked with him at the bar back in the day. And the guy's grilling out one night, had a bag of seasoning. And I'm like, what the hell is that you're sprinkling on the chicken? And dude's like, it's Danos, man. And I'm like, what the hell's Danos? Yeah. And I'm like, well, where do I get it? And he's like, well, here, let me call him real quick. And next thing I know, I ended up here at this house. And I've still got a video of it. I'm like sitting there like selfieing with Dan, and I'm like, you don't know him right now, but you're gonna know him, and this is the best season in the world. And this dude fed me dinner that night. It was the first time we'd ever met, and he just was like so passionate about sharing the brand. So like that's our like brotherhood story of how this all came to be. And so, dude, I mean, where we are is exactly where we were supposed to be. I truly, truly believe that.
That's incredible. That's incredible. I have a question. I feel like I'm deviating from, because that's just, I mean, it's hard to follow up, but I want to talk a little bit about the health aspects of the product, because, the sodium and, the lack thereof. Right. And I guess, Dano, Tyler, was that intentional when you were putting this thing together? Right. I mean, you're making it for taste, obviously. Right. Talk a little bit about how I don't divulge any secrets, obviously, but I mean, it's a healthy product, right? I mean, it's very low sodium, and where you are now, I mean, it fits in a lot of different channels. And I guess I'd like some insight into what you were thinking when you were putting it together.
Sure. Well, things happen for a reason. And so I had this recipe, right? So when I had my aha moment, January 2015, I'm like, Danos. I knew the name was great. And I just kept thinking like, this is going to be a household name. Number one, because my flavor was unlike any other flavor on the market. When you try Danos, you can't say like, oh, that tastes like this. It tastes like this. No, it tastes like Danos. There's nothing like it. And so I knew I had this totally unique flavor. I use rosemary, lemon peel, orange peel, garlic, onion. That's the main flavor profile. So I knew there was nothing like it out there. So when I had this epiphany and I was like, this is what I'm going to do, it was all about the flavor. I just knew it was the best flavor out there. Now, when I started having to figure out, like, how do you package a product, and I'm reading nutrition facts with the FDA and health department compliance and all this stuff, that's when I'm like, this is low sodium. Like, I can like change people's lives with it. Like, it's actually good for you. And I remember putting that low sodium on the label, and I was like, why isn't anybody else doing this? And so really, it just like things happen for a reason. And it was like, and then I took the sugar out. I said I had my original packaging. Well, when I changed that, I took the sugar out because I only had a pinch of sugar in it. There was no purpose of it. That's just the way I made my original recipe. So when I came out with my new packaging, it was like, I'm focusing on low sodium, no sugar, no chemicals. And I'm giving high blood pressure and diabetics and people that just love flavor, because that's the thing. I created it because it was awesome, not to be a healthy product. I just saw the avenue of educating people on that, showing people, like when I would do my demos cooking this chicken just like this, I show people, I'm like, look how much seasoning I'm putting on this chicken. Then I put it in there and I'm like, look at that crust on there. And then and that's all from just the seasoning. And people are like, that's all you're doing is seasoning? And I'm like, yes. And then I pick up the bottle that's got just the salt in it. And I say, look, that's all the salt that's in the bottle. Like, I'll have a bottle with just the salt.
Where is that bottle? We usually have that bottle sitting around. It's a really cool visual, man. It's like, you know, that's how we sold in flea markets. It was like, this is what the doctor ordered right here. And, you know, it was a lot of fun having, you know, selling that to that kind of customer.
Here's how I did it. Like, I have this down to a science. I cut them a sample, I give them a bite, and as soon as I see it go in their mouth, I know what's going on in their head. They're going, wow, this really is good, right? And then I'm like this. That's all the salt that's in the bottle, right? That's all the salt. The rest is all natural ingredients. That's why I can use so much and get that herb crust on there. So now I'm giving them the best chicken they ever tried. I'm giving them all these value props. So I'm basically creating a no-brainer for them. Like, it's like, why wouldn't you buy this? Plus, it's only $5, right? Well, it used to be $5.
There's always there's inflation, you know, but it's worth every penny, no matter what. It could be $7, you know. So
we got our big bottle, and it's 6 times the spice, only 3 times the price, and you get the big bottles. And it's like, dude, it was
6 times the spice for 3. I love that. I could see that as a Costco roadshow, just hammering that line over and over. Are you guys? So I got 3 questions. One really simple question. Are you guys in Costco, or have you been in Costco?
Yeah. Tough business to manage. Just started breaking into some of the divisions. So we've been selling in the Pac Northwest for a couple weeks now. Cool story. They hit me up a week after they ordered what they had, half of what they had committed. And they said, we got to get the rest of this as fast as possible. I don't, as you know, they don't divulge a lot of sales information, but they said it was flying off the shelves and that they couldn't keep up. So we run introductory demos with Costco in each division that's activating us right now. So we've got a couple more on the way from a division standpoint. Is the answer.
Okay, cool. And then other question, I'm just fascinated with the branding. You know, the origin of the logo. And for those that don't know, I mean, you can look it up and Google it, but it's for those that are listening, it's a boy, kind of like a Huckleberry Finn looking boy that is carrying a fish on a stick with bare feet, walking on a rolling hill. Where did that logo? Is that supposed to be like a flashback of you as a kid, Dano, or what's the logo? What's the origin?
Yes, a little bit. I used to spend every day fishing when I was a little kid. My dad would drop me off when the sun came up and pick me up when the sun was going down. And but I didn't dress like that.
This is from like the 1800s, you know.
So remember this. It took me like over a year and a half to go from idea to my first product. And I remember about 3 months in, like, I knew what the name was. It was a given, Dano's. And so I'm like, I need a logo. And I remember waking up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, little Huckleberry Finn character walking through the state of Kentucky with a fishing pole and a fish on it. But I couldn't just go like grab clip art. I had to have somebody draw it. So this is funny here. This is a good story. So I was a bartender, right? And I'm working on this project. And so I paid the guy in the kitchen that I knew could draw $100 to draw this logo for me. And when I gave him the money, it was like 5 o'clock in the morning when we were sitting there counting our money. Like the night was over. It was a Saturday night. So there was like 6, 7 bartenders in there. We're just counting our money, hanging out. And like they all see me give him $100 for this little drawing. And they're all laughing at me. And I'm like, it's my logo.
The
Like,
logo
okay.
that launched a multi-million-dollar brand.
Right.
See the
So
last laugh on that one, right?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Did you go back to that bar and be like, remember that logo? You know, for anyone who's still working there, remember that logo that you laughed at me about where I paid that guy $100? Well, we just did X in revenue, and and not to rub it in people's faces, but did you ever think about going back there and saying that?
Oh, well, I don't say that. I don't bring up instance, but there's other instances because we're all like a family of bartenders there.
Right.
And it was kind of like even when you weren't working, like you were hanging out there. And there was one time when I told them all, like we kind of all got into a little argument, and I was like, "You're gonna see one day, like I'm gonna blow this thing up," and like I kind of like, you'll see, like there's some cuss words in there and whatever, but hey, it's part of the motivation. Bunch of naysayers.
Yeah.
Nice. I could see that being in the Dano movie, on Netflix, and either you can play yourself, which I think you can do it or nail it, or Timothy Oliphant, because he has that real good Kentucky accent. He could do it too, right? Have you seen Justified?
Oh, yeah.
It's like Kentucky,
I
think it's Kentucky, right?
Yeah.
Say
It's
that-
still, I think it's over in Hebron, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Or
So
Harlan,
he has that.
It's Harlan,
Yeah.
Harlan County, Kentucky.
So that guy spent like 5 seasons mastering that drawl, and so I think he could play you, Dano, or you could just play yourself. Either one.
Hey,
So
and listen, one thing he's talking about the naysayers. One of my favorite Danisms of the shows is when somebody didn't like his seasoning. He said, "Well, congratulations, you're part of the 1% club because only 1% of people don't like those."
Always
what I love
1%.
is there's a response for everything. If they love it,
100%.
great. If they want a bigger size, great. If they don't like it, you have just a whip, like just boom, you have that response right there. So we're running low on time, so we're going to get to our next segment. I had an additional question if you can answer like in 20 seconds.
I was going to say that I've got one too, but go ahead.
Yeah,
Alex.
I'm a vegetarian, which so it eliminates some of the recipes that you have. But what is a great vegetarian recipe for us, all these vegans out here in California? Share some wisdom.
Dano's on potatoes be the best damn potatoes you ever had. Potatoes.
The accordion ones, right?
Yeah, well, those are a little difficult to make. They take a little bit of time. I mean, literally just roast some potatoes in the oven. Use the cheese if you
Nice.
do cheese. But I mean, really, any vegetable, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
Just put some
I could see a hot potato, like our baked potato being good. Also, those little round potatoes, right? You see, just put some pepper on it, put some of your spice on. So I'm going to do that
thing
tonight.
about Dano's is how versatile it is. So
Right.
it's not just like you can use it like a salt and pepper. So even if you don't cook, you can put Dano's on whatever you're eating, or you can cook with it. But you can also put it in soups. You can make homemade vinaigrettes. My original packaging had a vinaigrette recipe on it. It was like equal parts oil and vinegar and Dano's, and you have this awesome vinaigrette. Like it's crazy good.
Nice, super
So
versatile, man. I love it. Wade,
Wow.
your question. Then
Yeah,
we'll go to stuff we
I was
love.
going to say, so my question, and this is probably, we're trying to be conscious of time, but I don't care. The stories from both of you are so inspirational, and I want to give both of you like just a minute to, just a brief minute to say, if you're giving advice to someone else, I mean, Tyler, my gosh, you probably have people crying about your story, for crying out loud. And Dano, just from where you came and where you are, if you were to give advice to, whether you look at it from a founder's perspective, a brand perspective, what advice would you give about persistence and just keeping on? What would you say?
You better have an awesome product. And the reason why I say that is because I truly believe in my product. There's a lot of CPG products out there that aren't good. And I truly believe that my product is the best in the seasoning category. So I never gave up on it. I'm like, all I got to do is see this through. I just have to keep going. 50 overdrafts later, I just have to keep going, keep robbing Peter to pay Paul, keep, just grinding, go to this show that I don't want to go to in West Virginia. But I got myself there and I made my $5,000 to pay my bills so I could order the next round of Danos. And so it's like, don't give up because you believe in your product. Don't do the product unless you believe in it. If you don't believe in it, don't do it. Don't have a plan B either. Go all in.
Awesome. Tyler.
Only a
Yeah,
plan
man,
B for Dan.
Yeah, for sure. Don't miss out. Don't miss out on those opportunities. No, man. For me, I tell anybody looking in the sales space, just like don't conform to who you think the buyer wants you to be, because at the end of the day, dude, they're talking to 100 of you that week, and I learned very quickly that I'm going to get a lot further when somebody like you see me share very personal stuff on LinkedIn. Like I want my buyer going into that meeting to feel like they know who I am and not my brand. I can introduce my brand later, but they buy from people that they like, and they want to facilitate a relationship with somebody that they like. And so, that's been my mantra from day one is never deviate from who you are. So like perfect example, man, I had a really, really large retailer, very high volume retailer, ask me to, hey, would you consider taking the little guy off the bottle? I don't think that's not on trend for our customer. And I said, absolutely not. And I think this conversation's over. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Let's, we can work about it. Maybe make them a little smaller. We didn't change a thing about it. And we have been the number one product on their shelves. So, you just got to do you. And I think that's the huge thing. It's just don't be afraid to tell, be who you are, cuss a little bit, have a little bit of fun, and don't worry about fucking up. Just let's have fun together. We're all human.
Exactly.
Right on.
And like I said, when I first met you, personal, super warm, so friendly, so loving, so open. I mean, literally, like when you called my name when I was walking down the show floor, I'm like, I saw you. I'm like, I recognize him from a picture, but I felt guilty because I'm like, I should know this guy more because the way he's treating me is like a dear friend. And like, I'm just meeting him in person. So it's like the first time, you meet Tyler, he treats you like, you're a great friend of his and very, very warm. So I could see that really boding well in a buyer meeting where you come in, personal touch, warm, great story. So hats off, man. Hats off. Let's get to our...
Alex, I have to say one thing.
One
we can't let this episode go without acknowledging John, right? John Hayes is just he's awesome. He's awesome. He's not on the show right now, but John is the director of, help me out, Tyler, director of...
Yeah, he's a biz dev guy, business development, man.
Yeah, but you talk about Tyler and his personality, and John's right there too. I mean, he's just great people person, love the guy, and I had to at least ignite. He's not in Dano's kitchen, but I had to at least say hi to John. So
cool.
All right.
I met him also at that. He was next to you at the show, right, Tyler? At Fancy?
Yeah.
Was that right?
He's at every show with me.
Nice. All right. So this is stuff we love. We're going to blast through this because I actually have a hard stop in 4 minutes here. So
we got this.
All right. So stuff we love goes without saying. I got the Danos OG. Put this on some baked potato, some salad stuff. Put it
chicken,
in oil vinegar, chicken. Beyond, right? Beyond chicken for me. And then also, looks delicious. Just shake it like a Dano. All right. So we also have organic coconut oil because you cook with this, and then you can also season it. So that is mine.
All right. So this is going to be a good segue because in the spirit of time, I have our sponsor today,
Guru Energy.
Guru Energy. So, Alex, I don't know if you know this, but Guru Energy is an organic energy drink with natural caffeine from green tea. They have 0 sucralose, 0 aspartame. It's made with a short list of plant-based active ingredients instead of a long list of chemicals. And that's what makes Guru your trusted source of good energy, because they believe that energy shouldn't come at the expense of health. So our good friend Dima, who's on the show right now, I think, or at least he was earlier, they're giving away not 1, but 2 cases of 24 cans of their top velocity SKU, not the one I just showed you because I drank that one earlier, and that's the one I had in front of me. The Guayusa Tropical Punch. And if that's not enough, they're also giving away 2 aluminum branded water bottles. So you're going to be able to take your energy drink on the go, keep it cold longer outside the can in that aluminum bottle. Dima's been a supporter of the show forever. Thank you. And that's what I got, Alex.
Cool. All right, and our permanent sponsor here, V Driven, is really, really quick, and then we'll get into our prize. And by the way, for the prize, and guys, for Tyler and Dano, we do a question, something that you guys said, some fact, location, time, whatever, something you said in passing, and we're going to use that as the question, the trivia question, to win Guru Energy. So, but let me get back to the sponsor here real quick. Be Driven is a CPG partner for emerging purpose-driven brands. They fuel growth and innovation by providing strategies and support in every phase of the retail journey. Leadership coaching, brand management, accounting, sales strategy, day-to-day tactical support, fighting deductions, which we all love going through, right? All these deductions from Unify, KeHE, DPI, all these guys. It's a constant battle out there, even with growth. So they help you get through that battle and help you with some insight on how to grow and scale your brand. It's Luke, Luke.Abbott, ABBOTT, at vdriven.com. Okay, so I have about a minute. Let's go to our trivia question here. And we're going to let you guys, that way, let you guys come up with this question. Something that you mentioned, anything that, and make it, challenging. And then someone here will comment, first person to comment and answer your question will win Guru Energy from Dima Mararu.
When was my aha moment?
Love it.
Like what year?
Yeah, I said exactly when it was. I said the month and the year.
Yep.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
I think I said it twice.
I think you did too. There's a little delay here, but I'm sure it'll be coming on too. Yeah.
Gotta have that. We can't afford that copyright.
Yeah, it was good. Not yet. We need some more sponsors.
We got to change the notes a little bit so we don't risk any copyright infringement. Like da 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 da.
Move every third note or something. I don't know.
It's like when Vanilla Ice did the Queen song Under Pressure. It's like their song goes da 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 do. Ours go da 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 do. Like it's the same song.
Right.
Wow. I don't see any answers.
There's a delay.
Okay. Always a delay.
I think people are in their kitchens now because they got hungry and
I was gonna say they're trying to make that chicken. That's right.
We hope
trying to emulate.
Yeah.
All right. So aha moment, month and year that Dano was like, holy shit, I got something here.
Yep.
Well, we're waiting on that. The Cheesling's the newest SKU, and you rolled that out, just in the last month?
We released it to our Dano's Fanos on our Facebook group in May, and then we just released it on Amazon and everybody else in June 1st.
Yeah, and it'll hit national retail over the course of the next 2 months. So you'll be seeing it on shelves alongside Chipotle, which we've had some really good traction and a bunch of regional retailers, early adopters, and now we got some of the big boys bringing those two in and expanding the line.
Gotcha. There's the first answer.
That couldn't be farther off, right?
Yeah, it's way off.
You're off.
Sorry.
You're off, Gavin.
Gavin, did you have your true, what's the
focus?
one for
your
focus?
Yes.
The true folk. I don't think you drank that today.
TRU focus.
He's a beauty, so he had the true beauty one, but not the focus one.
I actually did have that before the show, if I'm being honest.
No wonder. I mean, you're extra
Yeah,
shiny.
am I glowing
extra
today?
Shiny. Glowing.
Yes, true beauty. So the Cheesling. So how 5 SKUs now? 6 SKUs total?
5 total. And there'll be another one in the next few months. We're trying to come out with one like every 3 or 4 months. So we have several in line. We have a chili lime flavor. We have a fish seasoning. We have a steak and chicken seasoning. And they're all very unique. None of them are like anything you've ever had on the market. Really, they're not.
Right.
So that's
right.
My whole thing is if I'm gonna put my name on it, it's gonna be something I really truly believe in.
All right. No one is remotely guessing the
Close.
aha moment.
We're the wrong
they're
year.
not
We're the
close.
wrong year. Yeah.
Wrong year. I think maybe the wrong month. I can't remember. Is March right?
Yeah.
March is right. Okay. So we
March
got
is
March.
right. The year's off.
Maybe when
No,
he
it
was
wasn't-
33.
it wasn't March.
Gavin did say it was when he was 33. That's close.
Well, that's when I had. I had the aha moment when I was 33.
But it wasn't
Oh.
2020. It wasn't
No,
2020.
they're thinking of the year where you really, there was
Took
scaling,
off.
and then you
Yes.
brought on a team and investment.
Yeah.
March 2020 is when COVID hit, and then I made my partnership May 2020.
Yeah. So it wasn't the aha, it was the cha-ching moment.
Yes.
there you go.
Well, we still haven't had that. We're still trying to make a profit. We never even talked about how hard it is to actually make a profit, right?
Man.
Yeah, that's a whole other episode that I've been talking about for years now. Glad it's a reckoning in this industry. Whole other story. But okay, so I got to hop off, but I know we got to conclude. So maybe we give it to the closest answer, which
Okay.
was the month.
I guess saying when I was 33, that might be the closest because the others are way off. They're 4 or
Yeah,
5
so that's
years.
Gavin. So we want to give it to Gavin then?
Let's give it to Gavin.
Let's give it to
All right.
Gavin. All right, Gavin.
You got it. cpgvibes100gmail.com. All right. So, guys, thank you for joining us on the show. And then next week,
And the
wanna
correct
pull this
answer was
up here.
January 15th.
January
15.
2015.
15.
I knew it was 2015. So, next week, sponsor is Rich Insights, Rich Ramones. And next week, no guest. It's going to be just us two. So, there you go. So,
Right on.
gentlemen,
Thank you
you
very
so much
much.
for being on. Amazing story. I'm going to go cook with some Danos tonight. So you guys rock. Thank you so much for sharing your story and cooking for us.
Thanks,
Yum,
guys.
yum, get this.
All right. And Wade, take care, buddy. Love
All
you.
right, buddy.
All right.
Thanks,
We'll
guys.
see you next
Bye,
week,
everybody.
Friday,
See you guys.
2:30, 5:30 Eastern. Have a good weekend.